Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show, we have reports and tips for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And then, with the annual deer season fast approaching on us now, on this week's show we've got some great deer hunting tips for you and a lot more from Wisconsin DNR wildlife biologist Josh Spiegel. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
Save on your new Polaris snowmobile with a holiday sales event at Hayward Power Sports. Most remaining 2024 models offer rebates up to $2,000 or financing as low as 1.99% for 36 months, plus a 2-year promotional warranty. From relaxing two-up trail cruising to aggressive trail attacking, we have your machines. Meanwhile, the new 2025 Polaris Indy XCR features the new 9R Patriot engine for unbeatable response and acceleration. Get your new Polaris sled today at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down at Hayward Bait and Bottle talking to Jarrett down here. And Jarrett, we're still got people out there fishing. The water temperatures are still above normal out there as we're recording this.
Yeah, we're kind of in that weird in-between fall and winter get-up like we are most years. We got some musky guys out there still. We got some guys doing crappies and walleyes out there yet, but it seems like a lot of guys are starting to shift their attention to deer and sitting in the woods and awaiting ice.
Well, I know the bucks are moving as we're talking here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of deer running around out there this year.
Yeah, it's a rut's underway, I think, as we're recording this right now, and that'll be going on for this next week, I think, anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing some nice pictures come back, some guys out there with archery and crossbows, so yeah, 'tis the season.
And crossbow, I kind of like that late crossbow season, too. It's kind of peaceful and quiet out there in the woods if you can put up with the cold.
Yeah, and there's not 4 feet of snow out there either.
Well, in some years maybe, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about the fall fishing. There's still people out there late fall fishing. Water temperatures are up there, like I said.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this last week did a lot to start bringing those water temps down, but, probably about a week ago or so, we still had mid-50s for water temps, so I'd imagine we're probably right around 50 or maybe even a little bit below that right now, but yeah, just some uncharacteristically warm water temps right now. It's not bad because, the daytime temps have been pretty nice, so makes it easier for us to get out fishing or what have you, but as far as those fish being really in the mood to go yet, we haven't quite hit that water temp yet.
Have you heard much as far as any bigger muskies or any muskie action out there?
Yeah, we're hearing some muskie action out there right now. Nothing huge right now. I think the biggest that we've seen so far this season was 51. Beautiful looking fish. A lot of those mid-40s inch fish, a lot of those coming off the flowage.
And I think that there'll still be people out there muskie fishing until the end of the season, as long as they can get a boat in the water.
Absolutely, right up until ice up or what have you, because as that water continues to get colder, those guys will just start throwing bigger and bigger baits looking for those big fish.
And trolling or suckers, one or the other. How about walleye fishing? That's a really good time to go out and catch some nice walleyes, too.
Absolutely. Guys are doing, one or two things out there. There are some walleyes that are starting to come up shallow into the weeds that are chasing the young of the year panfish, and there are those walleyes that are still sitting out in the basins right now. A lot of guys are using live bait for them. Walleye suckers right now, kind of long lining them right over the side of the boat, jigging, or you could be throwing some reaction baits out there too. Those fish are starting to put the feedback on.
I know sucker minnows are a good thing to try this time of year, and decent-sized minnows, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Fish are looking for a big meal this time of year. A lot of the bait that was born, this last year is starting to grow up and kind of looking a lot like those walleye suckers right now. So those walleye are looking for bigger meals and less of them to get ready for winter.
A lot of ways to rig that sucker minnow, too, but, in the last couple of years, I've kind of a lot of drop shot rigging. It's a bass tactic, but it really works good for walleyes, too.
It works well for walleyes, works well for panfish, works well for bass. There's a lot of deadly things that you can do with the drop shot rig, but, yeah, it's a great way to target them.
You mentioned panfish. Hearing much at all on the crappies and the bluegills?
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on out there with bluegills and crappies. When we went out, we found them out there, and we found them in two different spots. We found some crappies out in the basin areas, that 30 to 40 foot. A lot of them were holding the bottom, as we talked about last week. And then as far as those fish that were up a little shallower water, we were finding them, 15, 20 feet adjacent to weeds, and it seemed like those were the more active fish compared to the ones that were out in the basin, but we got both of them to go.
And if you do find them out there in deep water, too, you got to be a little bit cognizant of the fact that it seems like sometimes I've seen it at 20 feet, but generally it's in that 25-foot range that they start coming up. They'll have their mouth wide open, and they just kind of like they're stunned, and they won't go back down.
Yep, they had that barotrauma or what have you. And, we talked last week that there's a good video out there for taking care of those fish that we're setting free. But, this time of year and, ice season in general, when you're getting those fish out of those deeper waters, if you're looking to keep fish, most of those fish that you're pulling out of that deep water, hopefully those are going in the frying pan, so we're not wasting a resource out there and seeing those fish die underneath the ice. So, great way to stock a freezer.
You bet. How about smallmouth? I know there's always a few guys want to go after smallmouth late in the year like this, too.
This time of year is a great time to fish for bass, but we don't hear a whole lot of reports on smallies or largies for that matter this time of year. We know that they're there. There are guys that are getting them while they're musky fishing, while they're out walleye fishing or what have you, but not a lot of guys targeting them right now.
You can seem to find the bigger ones and them deeper rock humps and stuff. As far as the hunting seasons, I know a lot of stuff's underway right now. Are you hearing much on other, like waterfowl or on grouse or small game?
Yeah, plenty of grouse. Every time I walk outside, I hear gunshots off in the woods in the forest. But seeing some birds on the side of the road, seeing some guys out there walking through the woods. Seems like it's been a fairly good season for grouse. Weather hasn't been great, but based on the gunfire I'm hearing, sounds like a good season out there.
You guys are pretty much geared up for everything down here in the shop, too. You got everything they need for the season, I think.
Everything you need for the season that we're in, whether it be hunting or fishing. And, we're probably about a couple of days away from being completely set up for ice. So if you're looking to get a jump start on this year's ice season, hopefully we have ice this year, good ice, we're here for you.
Anything new out there when it comes to ice fishing? There's always some new stuff, but anything off the top of your head you think of?
So, there's some new plastics and some new jigs out there this year by Clam. Last year they came out with the Tika Flash, which was a hit for, a lot of guys around here. It's a unique little minnow-style bait with a blade on the end. This year they've got the Nika plastics, I believe I've got that name right, and a couple of really cool-looking jigs that they've got out that we've got here in the shop, so definitely make sure you stop on by and take a peek at those.
And you got all the electronics set in here. Got some new stuff in electronics too.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as electronics, we've got the Garmin Live Source. We got all your Vexars, your Markhams that you're going to need if you're looking for a conversion kit to run your Helix out of the boat on the ice. We've got that here for you as well.
Yeah, but you even got, I noticed you got one Humminbird Mega 360 up there ice package, and that's really kind of cool for ice.
We do, absolutely. Yeah, we got one of those left right now. We're running a special on that, so make sure you stop on down, take a peek.
Well, thanks, Jarrett, for taking the time with us here.
Thanks for having me again, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that bring this show to you every week. And when we come back, we'll be talking deer hunting with DNR wildlife biologist Josh Spiegel. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hunters and anglers, Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in the Hayward area. Stop in and check out the huge selection of musky bass, walleye, and panfish tackle. They also carry archery supplies, bows, crossbows, muzzle loaders, ammo, scents, tree stands, and much more. Gear up for hunting and fishing at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And while you're there, check out the bottle shop for a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor, too. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
You wanna get outdoors, you wanna have some fun.
A new Can-Am side-by-side is the perfect companion for all seasons. Hayward Powersports still has an awesome selection of new 2024s, and they currently offer rebates up to $2,000 or 2.99% financing for 36 months. If you like the creature comforts, the very popular Can-Am Defender Limited HD10 offers a $1,500 rebate to go along with its full cab, including heat and AC. Looking for a value price machine? The Can-Am Defender XT HD7 features a winch, roof, front bumper, and full skid plate. With a $1,500 rebate, it's all yours for just $14,899. Maybe you need a little more muscle. Unleash the power of the Can-Am Defender XT HD9 or 10 with $1,500 rebates. With the money you save, you can outfit your new Can-Am with a plow, cab accessories, and so much more. Your new all-season companion is waiting at Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Certain restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. See your dealer for details.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, here in the Northland, the annual deer season is almost a holiday. And while our archery seasons have been open now for a while, and there have been some pretty nice bucks I've seen taken, the gun deer season and the muzzleloader season are coming up pretty soon here. On this week's show, we'll be talking deer hunting and some great tips on patterns and deer movements and a lot more from DNR wildlife biologist Josh Spiegel. We're down at the Hayward area DNR station down here talking to wildlife biologist Josh Spiegel. And Josh, fall is deer time, and there's a population of deer. A lot of people are saying it's down. What's going on there?
Yeah. Nope. This is deer hunting season. I think, many of your listeners here, we look forward to this time of year. And, deer, much like all the other species too, they respond environmentally. So the biggest impacts to deer, folks can argue about predators. Predators have localized impacts. It's kind of where the predators are, and same thing with vehicles, roadway collisions and that stuff. But our biggest blanket here is environmental factors. When we have tough winters that produce late snow effects on deer, that can really drive a population down. And then in turn, too, those cold, wet springs, similar to grouse and turkey, etc., that makes survival of those young animals a lot more difficult. They're born on the ground, very difficult for them to thermoregulate, etc. So they start making decisions because they're, maybe not thinking 100% accurately or whatnot. So environmental factors are the big thing. We didn't have that in the winter of 23-24, but we did in 22-23. So just kind of looking at our deer numbers here, the habitat is starting to bounce back. We talked previously on a different episode about kind of the young forest cut aspect, aspen, coppice, timber harvest, etc. We're seeing a lot of that at the county forest level, national forest level. Our state lands, we're still doing a ton of cutting. And now too, a lot of people are understanding the habitat aspect more to wildlife management. So we're seeing more of it happen on private properties too, getting that new habitat. So if we can get that habitat component, you're going to start seeing the deer numbers bounce back. And then you get easy winters like last winter, and production goes way up. Seeing a good amount of fawns out there with those. And then the biggest thing, and I think this is not only something I've seen personally, but talking with a lot of other folks too, you get a very mild winter and those mature bucks have really exploded. Antler size look great this year. Seeing a lot of it across the northwest area of the state here. Those animals didn't have to recover from winter last year. So they put all their energy into their new antler growth. This is totally different than years like 22, 23, or even moderate winters. They have to do some type of body recovery, and these bucks didn't have to do it this year. So we're seeing really good antler production.
You know, interesting when you talk about the habitat and all that stuff, because, you know, out in the national forest, out where I actually live at, I mean, I can remember when I came here, there was acres and acres of, I called it an ecological desert, because it was diseased and dying balsam trees, and there was nothing on the ground underneath them, and there wasn't a lot of deer out there. And, you know, I believe that's what was the original wolf pack up in there at one point, too, out there toward Clam Lake and Little Moose River. But, you know, as they started clear-cutting patches, we started seeing a lot more deer coming back. And I believe that there was no clear-cutting for a while going on because of tree activists and stuff telling that we don't want to see this, but whatever. When they did start it, we started seeing more animals coming back. Unfortunately, we saw the wolf population come up, too, because of the food source. But, you know, years ago, I talked to old-timers that told me when they clear-cut almost everything up here, deer population was higher than heck.
Yeah, you're 100% right, John. I mean, again, like the environmental factors, right there is the habitat. Those animals need the food sources, the forage, the cover, etc. And once that comes, you're talking about population increases. So I think we're trying to emphasize a lot of work here through the department, our outreach, our staff through the Deer Management Assistance Program. We've got a really cool partnership right now with Rough Grouse Society. We actually have a DNR habitat biologist that operates through Rough Grouse Society, both here in Hayward as well as the Woodruff area. So there's two of them out there. And their goal is working with large block landowners, private landowners, etc., to increase that habitat. And you're 100% right. So we've seen points in time where you could call them ecological deserts, where they've kind of aged out for a lot of different species. And then trying to break that up, because we don't want to turn back into an ecological desert here in another 20, 30 years or whatever that time frame for that stand comes out to be. So we want to make sure that we always have viable stages of a stand's life to produce the best quality habitat for species like deer, turkey, grouse, etc. So through a lot of that federal litigation that occurred through the, kind of 90s, early 2000s, etc., we've learned some things in how we go about the process, working with our partners over at the Schwamig-Nicolay National Forest and specifically the Great Divide District here in Sawyer County. We're looking at trying to do as much as we can to emphasize stand rotation, age breakups, etc. So we always have something in a given area that's highly productive from a wildlife standpoint.
Well, I know one of the big things I keep hearing all the time is the blame. If they're not seeing deer, the blame goes 100% to the wolves real quick.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, there's no question, if wolves are in your area, it's going to be a difficult hunt. They are an apex predator for a reason, and they do affect deer patterns. But that doesn't necessarily mean just because you have wolves in the area that the wolves have eaten all the deer. Deer are smart animals. We know this as hunters, that they will continue to move around the landscape. They change their movement patterns to when it's most applicable to deal with those animals. Obviously, some are lost to wolves, but others make decisions on how they're going to kind of navigate that local landscape, or they might move where they are and bounce outside their range. But I think the interesting thing with this time of year we're going into now with the deer rut is we see abnormal deer movements anyway. The bucks are moving, and they're moving miles upon miles, running all over. Especially in areas with lower deer density, those bucks have to travel further to find does to breed. So, just in general, movement patterns are kind of in a weird time of year. Late October, we have this period of transition. The deer are trying to figure out their home ranges because everything's changed. The leaves have dropped. How they move through their home ranges changes. Food sources are becoming more available in acorns, grasses, etc. So if you can find that thick cover they're looking for and find that food source that they're looking for, you're going to find the does, you're going to find the bucks, and I'd say hunker down in your stand and wait for the fun.
In food source, what you said, food source, whether you're hunting or fishing, it's always the food source, because they don't have a lot of different things that they do, except for one thing is eat, and they got to have food source there.
Right, and eat. I mean, that is the goal right now for adult does, right? Adult does are trying to prep for winter, get as much weight on. Obviously, bucks during the rut here, they're not eating as much, but they're going to chase around. They're going to find those does. They want to get to the areas of thick cover where they can bed, have that protection, whether it's visual sight on cool, calm days, or sight or locations where wind aspects really provide their favor there too. So they're looking for forage where they can get to and eat. And then bucks, right away post rut, they have a very short window, maybe as low as 2 weeks or so, where they're going to start recovering from the rut. And this is going to be where can they get to where they have to travel the least amount to get from cover to food. So this is going to be, swamp areas adjacent to forage stands, something like young aspen coppice, fields, grassy areas, oak stands, etc. So where can they get from cover to food and travel the least amount as possible? Because they're going to have a short window to recover before the winter season. And then on top of that, drops in the gun deer season right there too. So bucks really take it hard. They go hard from the rut. Bow hunters, archery hunters chasing them. Then we got gun deer season, and during that entire time frame, they're trying to breed does, bed down, get some recovery, and then prep for winter.
Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk we had with DNR wildlife biologist Josh Spiegel. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Hey folks, the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach on Highway K between the Big Lakes has groceries, ice, beer, liquor, and pop, and now has all new tackle and bait supplies. All current antiques and household items are now on sale and all must go to make room for the sport shop. That's at the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach between the Big Lakes.
If you'd like to have your time fishing be more enjoyable and productive, hiring a fishing guide can be a good investment. Whether it's learning more about fish patterns throughout the year, learning how to use your depth finder to find the best spots and fish, learn how to use that GPS to get the most out of it, or learn better boat control. A day on the water with a guide can really help you to be a better angler, as well as make a day on the lake very enjoyable. To book a guide trip this year or get more information, you can find us on the internet at www.wiscnorthlandoutdoors.com, and then just click on Area Guides.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk we had with DNR wildlife biologist Josh Spiegel. Well, you hear a lot about a second rut. What goes on there?
Yeah, so the second rut would be more when some of those adult does have have not been bred through the breeding season. Bucks know this. Those hormones are released on the landscape. Those deer start moving around. They've recovered enough where they're getting back into a normal pattern, feeding still, etc. But they're still going to be looking to breed some of those does, because ultimately their goal in life is to pass on life, to create that next generation. So if does are kicking back into estrus and maybe missing during that rutting time frame, that peak rutting time frame of late October, early November, bucks are still going to look to breed those does.
Usually that happens about my favorite time to be out there, muzzleloader season.
Yeah, yep. And that's about that month delay. You give that month behind, and it's not uncommon too. You see those late bred does, they're still dropping fawns in the late spring, early summer type time frame, mid to late June. So they're still within that ecological window of fawn drop. And sometimes it's not uncommon. We don't see it often, but seeing spotted fawns late in the fall here, and usually those were late bred does that were dropping late in summer, and those animals have obviously tougher time to make winter that following year, but it does happen.
Let's talk a little bit about deer behavior now that we have wolves out there. That's changed a little bit. Their behavior, they're a lot more alert now, I think.
Yeah, there are a lot of different aspects that go into that. Deer are highly keen. They're extremely conservative when it comes to their movements. They're looking around. But the other thing I'd say, wolves obviously take a brunt of the rap, but we have a big bobcat population. Usually in areas where you aren't seeing wolves, you're seeing stuff like coyotes at an increased number. Obviously, our bear densities are impactful on the fawn side of things, but there's a lot of different predators on their landscape. So really, from a deer species, not that different from elk and grouse and turkey, you're talking about an animal that's attempting to survive in a landscape that's trying to kill it every single day of its life. So it's quite incredible when you think about some of these deer, a mature buck that's gone through this gauntlet at 6, 7, 8 years of age, or an adult doe that's 9, 10, 11, 12 years of age. And we do see deer on a regular basis that age through our annual aging process here at the department. So watching animals survive for that long is pretty incredible in a landscape that they are the key food item out there for a lot of different species. So it's pretty incredible to see how they've adapted their movements, how they move in, windy days versus calm days, how they get from cover to cover, how they get to their food sources, etc. So it really makes hunting a really tough process. I've always said it's not difficult to be a successful deer hunter. It's difficult to shoot a very high class buck or something of that aspect, the trophy side. So if we can figure out deer movement patterns, you're going to find success with that.
One thing I've noticed too is that don't act like a predator when you're out there in the woods. You are a predator, you're hunting, but don't act like that, because I've noticed that if you walking into a stand, if you just walk in at a brisk pace, you're not stopping and going, you're just going like you're on a mission. If there's deer out there, they largely ignore you. But when you start trying to sneak someplace, all of a sudden you become a apex predator, and they're aware of that real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to that. So I've always kind of gone under that impression that if you own private property or something like that, do what you normally do out there. If you're riding your four-wheeler once a week across your property, or split firewood or something like that, keep your normal patterns up, because deer are an animal of patterns. They understand those common threads. There's a lot of people that they actively do stuff on their property all year long, and then they get to hunting season, they stop everything. Well, that's another major change. Well, why isn't the activity level there? Those local deer know that stuff. And then also I would say too, you got to think like a deer. Don't think like a predator. Don't think like something trying to kill a deer. Think like a deer and get to where they want to be, where they want to move to, and go about it that way. Obviously during the rut becomes a little more difficult because buck patterns aren't as common, but, get to places that deer want to be to, and you'll have success through that side of things.
Boy, a lot of good tips and information there, Josh. I want to thank you greatly for taking the time with us here.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate it like always, and have a safe hunting season for all that listen.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, go to our website at WNOradio.com. From there, you can link to our podcast site, and the show is also on Spotify and Google Podcasts every week. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com. Thanks for listening, folks. We're out of time, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you.
Listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.